G-Man Boxing. Do you know what I mean? Every single live he donates. I see him on other lives donating. He's got the bag on it.
Alright people, midweek report time, and boy oh boy do we got a lot to talk about today. So look, I've already done a video today about this, but we will talk a little bit briefly about this now. Obviously it was September the 5th, 2 days ago, Tyson Fury made that, do you want to call it a call out? He didn't really do it in a kind of a forceful way. He just basically said he wants to have a fight and the first choice will be Anthony Joshua. Now, Tyson Fury, well, basically Anthony Joshua came back and said, you know, don't do it online. Let's actually discuss 258 management, etc. But now we're in a position where what we're hearing is that this fight is bizarre. Like, I say bizarre. It looks like it's coming. I'm not going to say it's definitely going to happen because, Jesus, I thought that last summer 2021, and we saw what happened there with this. But it's looking that little bit more likely by the day, you know. I'll just get a couple of quotes up here. You know, this was basically Frank Warren saying he fully believes it could do 2 million pay-per-view buys. It's still a huge fight, and it is still a huge fight. Joshua responded saying that he accepted the 60-40 offer. He wanted December 17th. Tyson Fury said, not December 17th, but we can do November 26th or December 3rd in Cardiff. You know, God almighty, it's a weird one. You know, Eddie Hearn has said that there shouldn't be any issue. We spoke with Frank Warren's son about BT Sport and the Zone. Eddie Hearn did say, I don't want people to get too excited because I have my doubts, but AJ's ready to fight him in December. We're up for it. Let's do it. I don't want to see any unsolved objection that if they really want it, should stop this fight. So yeah, like it's weird. Like, I mean, when I saw Tyson Fury make that call out on, what day was it now? It was on, I think, Monday. I was kind of thinking to myself, like, is it really going to happen? Is it actually really, or is that just kind of looking to get an opponent? Or is it not even, is he looking to just maybe say he's going to fight in December? A bit like how he did in 2020, where there was names like Lucas Brown being talked about as a potential opponent for Tyson Fury to have, might have even been a non-title fight. And that never materialized. It never went anywhere. I kind of thought, is it something like that again? But the more I read about it, the more you hear about it, the more you kind of start thinking, interesting. Could something be happening here? Look, at the end of the day, I want to say that, like, Fury, or is it boxing in general? There's many times where I've looked forward to fights thinking they'll happen, and they either happen many, many years later or they don't happen at all. Or sometimes that you think a fight's going to happen and one guy ends up taking a bizarre complete 180 route and fights someone else. So I'm not going to say I'm going to get massively excited. Obviously my preference is undisputed. That's what I want to see. I want to see Fury versus Usyk. But if we're talking about an interim opponent, I mean, I'm still keen to see AJ versus Fury. Yeah. Would I make Fury favourite? I'd make him firm favourite. I'd be very, very, very heavily picking Tyson Fury to beat Anthony Joshua. He'd probably stop him, truth be told. He'd probably stop him in the mid to late rounds. But I see ways in which Anthony Joshua can win, and I think it's still a competitive fight, but, you know, competitive to some extent anyway, but I'd still make Fury favourite. But I still do want to see it, if you get me. Even though Joshua's coming off back-to-back losses, I still would like to see it. But then again, as I said in previous video, there's that kind of, you know, for me certainly, I tend to look at things, one, as a fan, and also just with my manager's hat on. You know, obviously I'm not a manager of any fighter, but if I was, I would look at this situation and say, at the end of the day, it is the fighter's choice. But if I had to, if he asked me what I think you should do, there's always going to be a time and a place to get another crack at a title. But now you have a position. You see, now you have a position where you can actually have some fights with no real pressure on you. You can work with your new trainer. You can build on some fundamentals that you already have there. You can actually start progressing a bit as a fighter. You know, having a couple of easy fights, 2 fights, maybe that, you know, aren't necessarily gimme fights, but fights that you should win pretty comfortably with no pressure, and then see how you go on. You know, I always felt Now, I'm not saying that this fighter would have done anything really. I'm not saying he would have won a world title, but I always felt that someone like David Price, he would have done so much. Probably, I think he would have. Let's not say he would have won a world title or anything like that. I don't think he would have, but I can't help but feel he would have had a better career if instead of a loss going straight back into a rematch like against Tony Thompson, he just went and ironed out the deficiencies in his game by just fighting journeyman after journeyman after journeyman after journeyman. You could say, gee, that's going to get repetitive, it's going to get stale. Yeah, it is. But when you have a fighter who you feel is stagnating, sometimes, especially if he's working with a new trainer, sometimes having those fights, A, they're confidence builders, and B, and I'm not saying Josh's going to be fighting journeyman, but you know what I mean, they will help the fighter work on new techniques as well. So if I was obviously managing Joshua, I would say, look, let's look at the Robert Garcia, let's train with him. At the end of the day, we can always target the winner. There'll always be vacant titles. Let's wait another day. But saying that, the fan of me, the boxing fan, is looking at that and thinking, I really want to see Joshua versus Fury. So that's kind of how that is. Obviously on Sunday, by the time the fight happened, review of the week was already done. Andy Ruiz beat Luis Ortiz on Sunday. Isaac Cruz, I'll talk about that fight now in a second, but Isaac Cruz got a win over Edward Ramirez. It was a very, very good knockout in the second round. And honestly, I thought Isaac Cruz would win, but I knew Ramirez could be a bit. I knew he can be a tricky customer when he wants to be. You know, he's tricky. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect him to knock him out in 2 rounds with a big knockout shot like that. You know, Gervonta Davis said Rowley and Cruz need to fight. Oh, lad, honestly, like, if they made Rowley versus Cruz next, I would be picking Cruz. Definitely, I think he beats Rowley, probably on points. I like watching Rowley, but I don't think he beats Cruz. I think Isaac Cruz is... I think, look, Gervonta Davis, you could argue, he went from... Well, originally he was meant to fight Rowley at the back end of last year, and he fought Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz was a harder fight. Like, it wasn't just the fact that Isaac Cruz did better than people thought. Isaac Cruz going into... It's very rare you have an opponent and the opponent pulls out for whatever the reason. We know at the time it was... We won't go there, but Rowley. But it's very rare someone pulls out and you get replaced by an actually harder opponent, which is what Tank Davis had. In terms of Luis Ortiz versus Ruiz... Yeah, he had Ortiz down 3 times, but it was still a very, very close fight. It was very cagey. It was not compelling viewing. Like, I watched it on my lunch break on Monday, and my days, I think CompuBox said there was 70 punches landed, or a little over 70 by both. It was real. It was not compelling viewing. Let's put it like that. Now, Ruiz is in a position for a fight with Wilder next year. Apparently, now I don't know how this works. I really don't. I really don't know how this works. Apparently, this wasn't a final eliminator for the WBC title. It was a semi-final eliminator in Helenius versus Wilder. Somehow is the final eliminator. I don't know how. Wilder with 2 back-to-back losses, having not won a fight since 2019, should be in a final eliminator. Answers on a postcard, please. But that's how it is. So, look, they'll try and do Wilder versus Ortiz in sometime next year, provided he gets by Robert Helenius. Andy Ruiz said, God willing, he wins in October. We're in the same organisation. I want to tank Al Heyman, as they always do. We can make this fight happen. Let's do it. Wilder said, we're always looking for great, exciting fights. If that's what lines up next, I've got to handle business, but we can get it on. Look, I'd quite like to see Wilder versus Ruiz next. I want to see how Wilder looks. I really want to see how Deontay Wilder looks against Robert Helenius. You know, on paper, realistically, Wilder should be having no trouble at all with Robert Helenius. I know Robert Helenius can punch. He's a very good puncher. But he's as slow as molasses. He's about as graceful as an elephant in there. He's easy to hit. He's not got an iron chin or anything like that. He's been knocked out a few times by lesser punchers. Gerald Washington knocked him out. He's not a big puncher. So realistically, Wilder should beat this guy pretty damn easy. However, Helenius is having a bit of an Indian summer in his career. And Wilder's had 2 extremely, extremely hard fights with Tyson Fury. We don't know what way he's going to be. He's going on 37, I think. 36, 37. So I don't know if I can trust Deontay Wilder to still have it in the tank we'll definitely have to wait and see. But if we have a Deontay Wilder who is even, pre-Fury rematch, if we have a Wilder who's even 80%, should be enough to beat Helenius. And personally, I always felt Wilder would have Ortiz or Ruiz's number. And I still feel that. I still feel he beats Ruiz. And I think Ruiz would need to be a lot lighter on his feet. And for God, he would need to make sure his head is nowhere near Deontay Wilder's right hand. Nowhere near it. So there's that. Obviously, we'll carry on. Most of the news that's happening here is mainly about Fury versus Joshua. Jake Paul, for those who care, will fight Anderson Silva on October 29th in Phoenix, Arizona. 8-rounder, 187-pound catch weight. Anderson Silva, didn't he beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. a year or so ago? I mean, that's a damning indictment on Chavez Jr. But saying that, I mean, he's been just... Chavez Jr. since the get-go has been nothing but a you-know-what. In terms of the fight this weekend, people have been asking me my prediction on Savannah Marshall versus Clarissa Shields. And before I do that, I'm not going to do it in this video here. I ideally want to do it in a separate video, and I will, crossing everything, hopefully get that out to you guys tomorrow. It's been a very busy week. It's not been a stressful week. It's not been a shit week like last week, which was just a week from hell. But it's just been a busy week. I've had a lot on. I'm actually not long after meeting my friend. I met him for a bite to eat, so hence the reason why Midweek Report is coming out a bit later this week. So I just had a lot on. I've just been doing a lot of things, been enjoying myself this week. So I'm trying to make time. I don't know if I'll have time to record the prediction tonight, but I'll definitely try and get a prediction video for Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields, definitely by tomorrow, because it deserves a prediction video. I do like getting them out earlier, but we will try and get one out tomorrow. In terms of the card, let's have an old look-see. So obviously we have Shields versus Marshall. Look, I don't need to tell you, I'm looking forward to that. I think it's a great fight. I really do. It was a fight that I've been looking forward to for a while now, well over a year. I'm glad that we're getting this fight. And the co-main, which is Michaela Myers versus Alicia Baumgardner, I can do a prediction on this one. I'm not going to do a prediction video. As a person, Michaela Myers, I don't really like her, but she's not a bad fighter. Alicia Baumgardner, I think, when Alicia Baumgardner came around first, I didn't expect much of her. She was brought in as an opponent for Terry. I think she might have been mandatory. She might have been mandatory for Terry Harper. But that was some performance against Terry Harper. Her last performance wasn't spectacular. It wasn't like she struggled. She won every round, but it was just real kind of meh. But I do think against Michaela Myers, she will perform well. I really do. I've got Baumgardner winning that fight. Ooh, probably on a razor close decision though. Razor close. Caroline Dubois, is that her second or third fight? Fourth fight. She is fighting Melina Kovala. Ebony Jones, I've seen her a few times, not impressed me at all. She's fighting Vanessa Cabarella. Jeannie Funches versus Gemma Ruggins. I've never seen either of them, can't comment. Laura Price. Karis Artenstall, who I've seen a few times. She's fighting Mariana Shakarov, is how you pronounce that. Again, these are just undercard fights, and a lot of these are just prospects going in there. I see April Hunter. I mean, has she fought since she took an L last time? Yeah, she has. And oh dear, Sarah Legman versus Beck Connolly. I mean, Beck Connolly at this stage, she's getting stopped a lot more. She's taking beatings. When's the last time she won a fight? 2019? Yeah, I don't really like seeing Beck Connolly in the ring, to be honest with you. I mean, she's been taking some absolute Hail Mary beatings in there off a few opponents for the last year and a bit anyway. So I know Beck Connolly has said in interviews that she's got rent to pay, but Jesus, there's got to be easier ways than that. In terms of other news, Billy Joe Saunders back on Twitter again, taking aim at Chris Eubank Jr., asking Conor Benn to slap this muppet up. As I said, it seems only whenever it's Eubank or a Canelo or a Triple G, Billy Joe makes a comment. As I said, there was did I put the clip in it? Maybe I did, I'm not sure. But there was a clip of him sparring, and I don't have it still. I don't have it anymore. Anyway, I deleted that. But he looked out of shape, and this was recent. So Billy Joe ain't coming back anytime soon, and I think that he is going to be just, having a bit of a pop at these guys whenever he gets a chance. That's really kind of what Billy Joe is going to be now. In terms of Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., we're about a month away, or we're under a month away now, and I think that this fight, it's growing on me, lads. It really is. It's growing on me, and we're going to go the full 9 yard. We're going to go the full hog with Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. in the build-up to it. Anyway, I'm talking documentary. I'm talking guests on in the next week or so. Me and the guests, the previews that we did for Joshua, that we did for Fury. We'll get the guests on again for this one, because they're actually quite fun. I actually quite enjoy getting the guests on the channel. Just the odd guest here and there, it's a good laugh, and we try and branch out a bit. So we'll try and do that. Tyson Fury was interviewed by Ring Magazine, and he was asked about Wilder versus Ortiz. He said, well, considering the fact I don't like Wilder and I like Andy Ruiz, I'd wholeheartedly want Ruiz to batter him. However, Wilder is a dangerous man. I don't think Ruiz is slick enough to avoid punches for 12 rounds. I agree with that assessment, to be honest with you. I don't think Ruiz has the head movement to avoid Wilder's punches for 12 rounds. I really don't. I think he's too slow of foot. I just see him walking onto a big right hand. Manny Pacquiao was revealed he's in talks for an exhibition with his former sparring partner, Jabor Zani, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in January. He's also set to compete in an exhibition against YouTuber and martial arts Daegu Yu in Seoul, South Korea on December 10th. I mean, he's trying to make the bag. They want to make the bag, so him and Floyd Mayweather are going to be taking these exhibitions and they're getting more money than many world title fights are going to get in an exhibition. Josh Taylor, on his exchange with Jack Catterall after the fight, I don't regret it. They gave me the role of the bad guy, so I turned heel and played it. I'm happy to play it. I don't give a monkey's beep. Well, I've already said it. I've already said that word already today, actually. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. He wants to smash him to smithereens. I really want to put a bad, painful beating on him. No boxing, no moving around. I'm going to seek and destroy, smash him to bits this time. So he wants to go in there and he wants to basically, he's referring to his rematch with Jack Catterall, which is yet to be announced yet. We're here in November, December on neutral ground, not in Scotland. So we're hearing it's going to be in the UK somewhere, not in Scotland this time. Look, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I've watched Josh Taylor since the Dave Ryan days when he was winning the Commonwealth title. Maybe before that, actually. I know he fought in a few of Frampton's undercards in Texas. I've watched Taylor for a while, and that's the worst I ever seen him. Is it the weight? Possibly, but I suspect it was him not taking Jack Catterall all that serious. That to me was more what he did wrong, probably, and I guess I kind of was victim of it as well. I kind of felt Josh Taylor would go through the motions and stop Jack Catterall, and I definitely hadn't given Jack Catterall the credit he deserved. Obviously, Jack Catterall, I'd seen him fight many times and never really impressed me too much, but I don't know, maybe he was holding back in them fights, who knows. Eddie Hearn has stated that he wants Jesse Bam Rodriguez to face the winner of Estrada vs Chocolatito 3. He intends to put him on the undercard on December 3rd. So Bam Rodriguez is going to be busy because he's already fighting Israel Gonzalez. I mean, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, imagine people. This year, Quadras, Rumvasai, Gonzalez, these are good fighters, people, seriously. And then potentially fighting another guy in December. I mean, that's a stake in a claim for fighter of the year. Seriously. I mean, Quadras. I think Quadras has seen better days. I do think that, but still, he moved up 2 weight divisions. Now, Sorumvasai, again, I thought he'd seen probably better days. He looked a bit shaky a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, when he fought that Thai fighter whose name escapes me. He was an Olympian. But still, Rumvasai, proven talent. Now, Israel Gonzalez, in any other division, Israel Gonzalez would be one of the top dogs. It's just Superfly is that competitive. He should have been a world champion. He got absolutely robbed in Monaco a few years ago against Calify. I think it was 2017. Absolutely robbed against Calify. Robbed him blindly. That was a bad decision. And now he's fighting Bam Rodriguez. If Bam Rodriguez gets by him, I mean, there's so many good opponents there still at 115 pounds. And I'd pick him over most seriously. And I'd love to see him fight the winner. And Bam Rodriguez, that kid is willing to fight anyone seriously. He is so impressive. Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Tyson Fury would back Deontay Wilder to beat Anthony Joshua. I back him to beat any of them except me. Wilder, even though he's a piece of shit, I've already said it once, I'll say it, might as well just keep saying it. In my opinion, is still the second best heavyweight in the world. Well, in your opinion, I'm going to say second best heavyweight in the world is either Alexander Usyk or yourself, because you can have whatever order you want. But ain't Deontay Wilder. I wouldn't be picking him over Usyk. Billy Joe Saunders. Oh, Billy Joe Saunders quoted here on the Flash podcast saying that Chris Eubank will never win a world title. I stand by that statement. As long as my name is Billy Joe Saunders, he'll never win a world championship as long as he's got a hole in his A. So, and he's also revealed, okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Let's, I done that video on Billy Joe last week, and you see, Nostradamus here, man. Nostradamus. Billy Joe's revealed that he's now back in the gym, losing weight, and eyes a return towards the end of the year or early next year. I would say early next year, because he ain't looking like he's going to be back anytime soon with the few pics I've seen. He'd be happy to sit down and do a deal for a rematch with Eubank Jr. if he beats Conor Benn. Maybe this deserves a separate video in of itself. Back in the gym. Which gym? I could have sworn in one of the sparring clips I seen Ben Davison. Him against Eubank. I mean, that's what I said. Originally, I was like, he's only going to come back for a big fight. He's not going to come back, and he's not even going to come back and have a comeback fight. It's going to be big fight or no deal. Because that's the only way he's going to get himself motivated. And even then, I suspect he's probably wasted his best years being inactive. Or maybe he gave as much as he'd ever give against Canelo, and that wasn't enough. So, Billy Joe, maybe we'll do a separate video later on tonight and upload that tomorrow as well. Wait and see on that. For now, lads and lassies, I'll leave you with that. I think we got a good 20 odd minutes, 25 minutes in. So I'm happy with that. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the fact that we're back very active now. The goal is a video until next Tuesday. So a video, we've done 2 today, 1 tomorrow, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, stream Sunday, review of the week Monday, and then maybe I can give myself a day off then. Unless news comes up, in which case we'll see. But that's the little goal, because, didn't do enough over the last week. Obviously, I had a lot of shit going on, but I want to keep this going. And obviously, I want to get the Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields prediction video out, because that fight deserves it. It really does. Card doesn't look too shabby. A lot of females going up against prospects. But I'm more interested in watching Karis Arrington, to be honest with you. Arrington, or Stahl, however you pronounce her last name. She's interesting to watch, so I'll definitely have a look at that. And obviously, Michaela Meyer versus Bam Gardner. But for now, I'll leave you with that. I hope you liked the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, lads and lassies, I will leave you with that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Let me know if there are any other videos that you want me to talk about, or any topics in boxing that you want me to discuss. Leave them in the comments section. For now, I'll leave you with that, people. I hope you all enjoyed it. Peace.